So we have Jameson, we got Steve, we got Dan up here, 1,000 ASINs. Super talented guys. They're all doing different things too. So we have eBay flips, we have Amazon to Amazon flips, what Jameson's doing, and then I don't even really know what Dan's doing. I just know he sold 1.4 million this year, which is awesome. We had a lot of people raise their hand for OA when Scott asked you guys earlier. So guys, feel free, and we have Q&A, and please come up here to ask questions because we're capturing all this content for social media, and if you guys speak into the mic, we can keep this evergreen. So who's got the first question for these wonderful speakers? And we'll let them introduce themselves. Actually, let's do that first. Yeah. Go ahead.
You need a $20 bill to get people to come up here now. We've trained them. So my name's Steve. I started reselling probably about 9 years ago. I started flipping bicycles on Craigslist. Then I was selling clothing on eBay. I was doing $6,000 to $8,000 a month, and I thought I was Superman. And then I learned about Amazon in 2015, and since then, I really dislike selling on eBay. It's a lot more work. Who likes doing a lot more work to make less money? Nobody. So one of the things I'm going to talk about today, which is kind of interesting, is hiring virtual assistants to source off of eBay and Facebook Marketplace. Now, my bloodline is going to thrift stores, doing retail arbitrage, working hard. I know a lot of you guys here are looking to not work that much and get people to source products and have prep centers do work. So if that's the case, you might just want to walk out and leave. But yeah, I've got virtual assistants sourcing on eBay, buying board games, DVDs, books, electronics, random items like that. So it is a hustle. It's a lot of work. It's not like a lot of my items I'm picking up are discontinued, which is great because there's not a ton of sellers. I don't have to deal with the race to the bottom. But with DVDs, sometimes they could take 2, 3, 4 months to sell, but my margins could be 60, 70, 80%. In my business, I'm doing around 15 to 20,000 a month right now, so it's nothing huge. But I really only do it part-time. And right now, I am shipping my stuff and doing a lot of things that after this event, and Avery's been pushing me like, dude, get a prep center. What the hell's wrong with you? So I'll share some of the mistakes as well, but that's what I'm doing. And this might be good for some booksellers who want to make the leap to online arbitrage, but maybe don't have the capital to spend $20,000, $30,000. So yeah, let's get into it.
My name is Jameson Philippi. I've been on Amazon for about 7 years. I actually got into Amazon through Steve, watching his videos, because I couldn't find a job anywhere. I was into drugs and I couldn't get a job after I got sober, so I couldn't even get a job at like Walmart to push carts. So I actually got into eBay and Amazon that way, and I started with a couple $100 and slowly scaled up. And the majority of my business now is Amazon to Amazon flips, and I use Keepa, and I set up Keepa alerts and go after a lot of rare products that you can find on Amazon. And I say about 75 to 80% of my business now is flipping products that I buy directly from Amazon. I generally will buy them out when they come in stock with 500 or 1,000 units. I'll buy out all their units and then turn around and flip them on Amazon. Also like between obviously like Target and Walmart and stuff like that, and just like utilizing like Keepa and the data and knowing like how deep to go on products and stuff like that. So yeah.
Hey, my name is Dan. I've been selling on Amazon about 4 years now. Started with retail arbitrage and went into online arbitrage exclusively, then transitioned into wholesale. Right now, my business is actually mostly wholesale, about 70% wholesale, 30% OA, and starting my first private label brand as well. Grown really rapidly. Last year I did 6 million in sales, hope to do 10 million this year. I have no VAs. My business is a little unconventional, I guess. It's just me and a crack team of 3 or 4 people just doing huge volume. The way I do OA is probably a little bit different than most. I only have replenishable OA product lines, I don't really do one-off buys at all for anything. So if you have any questions about that, happy to answer.
Sweet. Let's get some Q&A. Who's got the first question for these beautiful speakers? Go ahead and come up. Give it up for, what's your name again? Tyler? Yeah. Awesome. Give it up for Tyler, guys.
All right, this will be a little bit like about risk tolerance. So like as you're scaling, you have ASINs, I've been in the game for just 6 months, so pretty new. So if you can kind of talk about getting uncomfortable with, your capital and like when you started to get to that uncomfortable phase? Because that seems to be kind of a roadblock for me currently.
Uncomfortable in what way with your capital?
Like maxing out a card to 40K.
And you're worried that the money coming in from Amazon will cover those payments?
Not so much that. It's more the Amazon can shut you down, suspend you, those kind of issues.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of the risk we all take with Amazon. So yeah, I would say as much as you can in life, not put all the eggs in that one basket. Have a backup plan for or other channels. Diversify with other channels, or if you're really terrified, always have at least an emergency fund where if Amazon shuts your account down for a month, your life doesn't fall apart. So I would say just try to balance that. But I've been very aggressive and just took that chance and maxed out everything and snowballed it all back into more inventory. And then it gets to a point, once you've snowballed it, you can pull off some cash from the business and then set that aside. So I don't have any great further advice than that.
I actually did run into some issues this Q4. I have a group of guys that I buy with. There's about 6 of us. And we sat down and we would look over the top like 100 ASINs that we were looking to buy from Amazon this Q4. And we'd sit down and on some listings, we would, between the 6 of us, we would drop 250K on one product. And for some reason this year, I work with very smart people, and we just got annihilated on 25 ASINs. We're stuck, 6 figures in buy cost and product. Some of them that we still have. So I had to go. Actually, it was a very risky Q4, and I actually did not do very well this Q4. So we had to redo our business model, and I had to actually get out on the road this year and start doing RA and do a RA sourcing trip so I could pay off the credit card debt. Because I accumulated over 100K in credit debt that I couldn't pay off. So I had to do a RA trip for 60 days just to recoup my cash to pay that down. So I'm actually just starting to get into being careful with my risk and the money and stuff like that. And I'm learning a lot of expensive lessons, that's for sure, with all that. So that's about as far as I've had to deal with that stuff so far.
Awesome. Let's keep it one question per speaker. We'll get somebody for Steve asking questions. Appreciate you, Tyler. Anybody got a question specifically for Steve and his eBay? Let's get you up here. We'll just do one question per speaker because of time.
Okay, guys, how's it going? My name is Brian. The question that I have, since you guys do arbitrage, high sales volume, and we're talking about millions in revenue a year doing arbitrage, sourcing for retail websites, of course. How is it going with the quantities, the cancellation orders, all those rocks in the road that we have in order to get high replay quantities in order to sustain our business?
As far as the quantities go, this took me a few years to start to understand is every website that you source from is going to be completely different. One thing where I enjoy sourcing from Walmart as well is they will allow you to order multiple times in a row. I think they've limited pretty much everything to 12 units now, but you can order, I do a lot of toys on Walmart, and you can literally place 50, 60 orders in a row on Walmart, and I've never been shut down in the 3 years that I've been doing RA on there. Same thing if you do Amazon to Amazon flips. If you have an Amazon business account, usually with the regular account, they'll limit you sometimes to 3 units or 27 units. But usually if you have a business account, usually it'll be unlimited. You can buy as many as they have in stock. So I really tried to gravitate towards that because I try to avoid buying stuff where I can only get 2 or 5 or 10. I'd rather get 100, 200, 500, or 1,000 and just, focus on that. So generally, say with Target, Target's very ban happy.
Yeah, those websites that are not reseller friendly, right?
Exactly.
But they're super profitable.
Yeah.
People avoid them, but they're missing out.
Yeah, Target's good. As long as you don't place more than 3 to 4 orders a day and you do their max order limit, you can generally stay under their radar and not get banned. But once you get banned, then you're done. They'll catch you if you do a new device or whatever like that. So that's usually what I do, and I stay away from the places.
Who is banned on Target? There you go.
So yeah, definitely.
Appreciate you. Next question, guys. What's up, Billy boy? Have at it.
How's everybody doing? I'm Billy Flips on IG if you guys want to throw me a follow. $20? Steve, I saw you looking at me in the crowd, so I thought I'd come up and ask you a question. So yeah, I'm primarily a bookseller now. I still consider myself pretty new to the Amazon game in general. Been at it for 3 or 4 months. So with books, I'm trying to maximize every dollar that I spend, right? Because my bankroll isn't as large as some of the big players we got here today. So besides books, I mean, I spend a lot of times in thrift stores, right? So what are other ways to, maximize my money while I'm at a thrift store? Like, what should I look out for?
Yeah, I think the board games are great, especially new sealed board games. And one tip I'd like to give you, this was in December. Facebook Marketplace, they were offering a free shipping incentive. So typically, for you to buy a board game, they're going to charge, the seller's going to charge $12 to $15, maybe $18 to ship a board game, which is going to pretty much kill your margin. Well, periodically, Facebook offers free shipping. So on a big item like that, I purchased almost 400 items in December, board games only. And that was me, because I couldn't figure out how to get my virtual assistants into my Facebook without it triggering the algorithm to ban you. Facebook's known for that. So I think board games are great, and Facebook Marketplace is an amazing opportunity. I know that doesn't necessarily answer your question, but DVDs, are you engaged in DVDs right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you better scan one and find out. DVDs are great. The thing with DVDs is you really need to make sure that, I like to stay under 100,000 rank. Once you get over 100,000 rank, they're really slow sellers. A lot of people think DVDs don't sell anymore because they're outdated and everything's digital, but it's the same with books. On my social media, like on TikTok, the number one thing I get is like, who the hell's gonna buy a book? But DVDs are great. Also, are you using Scout IQ?
Yeah, Scout IQ. Shout out Caleb. I don't know where you are. It's a man over there.
Yeah, big mistake I was using was I was just having my virtual assistant source off of like eBay and Facebook Marketplace DVDs and just going like solely with the rank, but also check the e-score as well, because I know Scout IQ will show the e-score for the DVDs as well.
So I'm not super familiar with Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
What parameters are you setting for your VAs to go and find these kind of
So
items?
I have a whole document, and I recommend anyone who uses virtual assistants, you've got to create training for them, and you've got to be like very, very specific. So I have a ton of Loom videos that teach them what I'm going after. For every different category, like for board games, I have like, for example, like a rank from like 0 to 100,000 is like pretty much the best, and then 100 to 200,000, it's still really good. Like if you just have like a couple items, I do one-offs. Once you start getting over 300,000, it really starts slowing down. So like I've built out a whole document. I actually am working on a free, it's called like a media sourcing checklist. It's mostly for beginners, but it like talks about DVDs and books and kind of what I look for in terms of like profit in relation to the rank and in relation to the e-score. But DVDs are great for sure, but they are longer tail. But at a thrift store, you can get those for $1 or $2, or on eBay. You just have to be careful because there's a lot of fakes out there. So I won't buy from anybody who's selling like multiple quantities of a DVD on eBay, because there's so many scammers and just whatever you want to call them on there, counterfeits and whatnot. But DVDs, board games, puzzles, and any electronic that's new. I love sourcing like old vintage one-off like Sony CD players, cassette players. It does require a little more capital. And last thing I would leave is make sure, this is one thing I'm really working on, Billy, is knowing my numbers. Got to give a big shout out to Honey Let. Only Taylor and Avery know. It's a girl who's in the Philippines who like creates tracking spreadsheets, numbers. It's like the number one thing. Anybody who's having issues, and I'm doing a piss poor job at it, so I'm not talking down to you or like telling you what to do. It's like I'm talking to myself. But knowing your numbers and knowing what's actually happening in the business, because if you just look at the sales coming in and you look at your bank account, there could be a whole different thing going on. So that's one thing I'm working on. So hit us up behind the scenes. We'll hook you up with Honey Let. No affiliate link.
Caleb hooked me up with his tracking spreadsheet too, so I got my numbers all in order for the time being. So thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Billy. We got time for one more question for this panel, and then the next is up. Who's got a question? You. All right. Give it up for Black Hat. Hopefully he keeps it clean on Amazon. You're not doing anything Black Hat, are you? You're not doing anything Black Hat on Amazon, are you?
Hello. My name is Nick. I do wholesale right now, so I'm just starting out kind of. So one question is more so like product research and selection. Like how do you, because like I have a problem right now where the product selection is a little bit of a hard, so I'll buy some product and then of course sellers get on and then price tanks and now I'm with like a break even or negative return on a product. So I just wanted to know like more so like what do you specifically look for when you're looking at distributor lists and you know you're deciding a product, because you can look at a distributor list, run it through like let's say Scan Unlimited, you can find some profitable products right now, but then like a month later those same products wouldn't be profitable.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the Keepa charts for every product in great detail, and if you're worried about price tanking, just look for products with a very stable price, or better yet, find manufacturers or brands that have minimum advertised prices, where if you violate that price, then they'll kick you off the listing or file, you know, infringement complaints or whatever. There are a lot of brands that I have that the price is the price, and there's X number of sellers on it, and you make your margin, and it's stable. So it doesn't sound like a great wholesale source that you may be sourcing from if there's a bunch of sellers getting on the same products and tanking the price. That sounds more like arbitrage to me. You see that all the time in arbitrage products where it'll hit a lead list or something, and then 60 sellers get on it, and then it goes down to break even or even a loss. You either have to break even on it or wait them out 4 or 5 months to make your money. I'd say, yeah, maybe look for brands, like if you just look at a Keepa chart and you see a straight line there instead of like, you know, number of sellers fluctuating up and down and the price fluctuating up and down. There are millions of products out there with either stable prices or minimum advertised prices. So you can definitely get started looking there if you want price stability. So.
All right, thank you.
All right. I think that's it for this panel.